Hey everybody, Roger here again. I'm going to do another day working out here in the berry patch. It's been a few days since I've been out here last. Unfortunately, as you can see here, we didn't let down the deer fence and the deer got in. Luckily, all they ate was this small orchard tree here. They could have did a lot worse. But yeah, so let's go and do some work. Let's get at her. So you can see here, the deer just ate every flower and every leaf that they could reach off this tree here. And a little bit of the huckleberry here, not so bad. Looks like they just ate the apple. Could have been a lot worse. Looks like the raspberries are okay. And if you remember from last time, I was working in here doing these rows, and now we are going to be working on the loganberry patch. I have to get rid of all these dead limbs and tie up the new shoots, and then get rid of any blackberry that's growing in here, and also tidy up in here a bit so we can get around and pick. And it's also tall grass in here, so sometime I'm going to come in here and weed whack. As we go over this way, we have a black currant, and it's doing pretty good. It's taken a few years to recover from the gooseberry sawfly. It doesn't usually attack the black currant so much as the red currants, but it still does. And here we have the Himalayan blackberry. We don't want any of this in here, so I'm going to be clipping this out. Here we have a red currant that's doing quite well. Hopefully we get some currants. It'd be nice to make a currant jelly. And here's the loganberry patch that I have to tidy up because I can't even get in here to pick right now. So this is the work I'm going to be dealing with in this video. So this is a butterfly bush, and it has a nice round orange flower. But unfortunately the deer, I guess, was trying to get out of here. Couldn't find its way out, and it jumped in this bush and just knocked it over. And I can't really work in here or get around to pick any berries or anything. It's just going to take over and be a jungle. So I'm going to have to cut a lot of this bush back. It's not going to kill it though, because a lot of it's growing up into the sky here. So I'll show you before. This is before and an after shot. All right, now I could get in here closer to the sauna, and you could see all the loganberries in here. And here, I'll pick one up. They have these long vines that, as the season progresses, they start weaving themselves into the lawn. And you could see it's a long vine of a loganberry. And you could cut this off, and then it'll start going bushier and grow more berries. Or you could weave it into the main plant, which is what I'm doing right now. They're just going around here and just weaving the vines in on themselves, and they will hold together like so, and I could still get around and work and pick. Also, you could see the ends of the loganberry vines here. It'll root itself into the ground and start a new plant. So you could cut the vine down here closer to where there's some greenage, and then put that rooted clipping in where you want it to grow somewhere else, and you'll have a new bush. Or you could just weave it into the main stem. But if you're going to get a rooted clipping like this, it's best to try and make a new plant. Just want to show you all this beautiful rhododendron that's blooming. It blooms every year, but it doesn't last very long. It's already starting to wilt here and there, but it's this nice, rich, dark red rhodo. So again, you can see this huge patch of loganberry vines, but they're all growing into the grass. And the vines, if I don't start trimming them and whatnot, are just going to be like a jungle in here that I can't even pass. So here, looking down at the ground here, you can see there's a rather large vine here creeping off, and it's going away over that way. Way over that way. And I'm just going to clip it somewhere here and get rid of all that. And you can see there's a green, you can see it's rooted here, green shoot up there. So I'm just going to clip it somewhere around here and then stick that rooted clipping in some water and start a new plant. Alright, I've been slowly puttering around here in the loganberry patch. You could see all the vines that were growing in the grass. I pulled up and I weaved them into each other here, making kind of like a hedge of loganberries all through here. Looking back. So I'm just working in the loganberries here. I'm getting rid of all the dead ones under here. I just got rid of a big pile of dead twigs. You can see here the shoots from last year. And I'm going to string some string from this butterfly bush over to that plum tree there, and then hang these branches or the vines of the loganberry over that, and then that should make some easy picking this year. But I got to take care of all this in here because I can't get it in there. So we'll see how it all turns out here as I work through the loganberry patch. Right, so I just strung up this line going from the plum tree or the butterfly bush to and from. And if you're going to connect to a tree or any other kind of shrubbery, you don't want to wrap it around the branch and choke it out. So you want to just kind of loop it around so you don't choke that branch out and kill it. And I'm just going to swing the vines over top of this so they droop over and it's easy picking. So I took the vines and I just kind of wove them in along that line that I strung up here. I'll go from this angle so you can see a little better. And as the vines grow little shoots and come down, it should be easy picking berries. And it should get lots of light. And I'm gonna run a secondary line coming from over there where it begins and coming around this group of loganberries, and then end up back over here at the butterfly bush. And I'm just gonna pull it tight and it should suck everything into here, and then the vines coming up from below could go right in between the two lines. You'll see in a second. Alright, so I have the two lines running here now, and I got the loganberry vines all wrapped up, and it's easy access. Here's a little corridor. You can see it's all nice in here. You could get in and pick. Now I gotta tackle all these in here, and you can see some of the vines are going up in the branches of the tree here, and I don't mind that so much as long as I could get through here, which I can. Now you can see there's the salmonberry here, and I don't want it mixed in with my loganberries. You can see the loganberry here's got a funny, fuzzy underside of the leaves. And salmonberry here, you could tell they're different, but I don't want them growing in amongst the loganberries, so I'm going to get them out of here. Same as when I find blackberry like here, I'm going to try and find where that is at the root and get it right out of there as well. So this here is a currant bush, and I'm just going to go around the branches of the bush here. And here's a good example here. You can see the branches are wowing out, and I'd rather contain them more inwards as a bush so it's easier to get around. So I'm going to put a wrap around it with some of the hay string that I got. Whenever we get hay from the cow bales, we save the string, and it's useful for gardening. And then I'm going to be getting in here. As you can see, there's blackberry, and I don't want that in here, so we're going to get rid of that. And I got to get rid of all these old shoots. And at one time I could walk under here to go pick along the fence, so I got to fix this up so I could get back in there and pick. So that's what I'm working on now. So I got this blueberry bush here, and it's starting to wow out and fan out, and so I'm going to do a wrap around it and tie off to the web on the fence here, and do a wrap going around here to pull it in. You'll see what it looks like in a second. There, that's a lot better. As you can see, I could get in here now. So you can see here there's this salmonberry shoot, and it's going way down here, down to the root. And then when it gets down here, it can sometimes get confusing because you don't know if it's a loganberry or a salmonberry, and you don't want to clip the wrong thing, so you just want to make sure you're clipping the right shoot out. You see the Himalayan blackberry here as it's in the loganberry patch. So I just clipped it down by the root there, but you want to be careful when you're removing it from big bushes of plants that you want, because it kind of weaves itself in there. That's one of the reasons why you want to get rid of it, is because it is quite invasive. And you can see it's just weaving its way through here, all through there. So I'm going to have to take it out in chunks so I don't hurt the loganberries. This is something that sucks when it happens, because I just clipped this old shoot down at the bottom thinking it's all dead, but it had a living vine coming off of it, and I didn't know until after I clipped it. So unfortunately this whole vine's dead now, but it could have been a lot worse. So this is the last area that I need to tie up for the loganberries, but you can see here I've been tying them up all nicely, so there's easy access. And they're going to get a lot of light this year, so it should be a pretty good year for berries. Here you see along the far side of the fence here, the blackberry is just taking over, and it just weaves its way into everything. It hogs all the light, but the loganberry patch is starting to look good. Alright, so let's take a tour of the loganberry patch now that it's all nice and done up. Over here you can see the deer got in when we accidentally left the fence up like this, and she devastated this apple tree. And I just finished weed whacking in here, as you can see. And then we got our rows of raspberries all nicely done up. Same in here. You can easily get in here to pick loganberries. And here's a nice big patch of loganberries all done up. And you could walk all through here. And my sister helped me put in a couple fence posts all through here. If you can remember, you couldn't walk in here a minute ago. a few minutes ago. And now you could walk all through here. Chickens are busy doing their thing. So you could walk right around the Logan berries here. You can see they're all tied up. Easy pickings. I just weed whacked everything in here, all that sweet Sicily. It smells kind of like licorice. And then you go down in here, around here. And it's nice, easy berry picking ground. So this summer when the Logan berries ripen, you'll be watching me pick them. And the blueberries all tied up. And it's looking pretty good in here. All nicely done. And we're ready for berry season. And this here is our personal rhubarb patch. So every year we harvest this for our own use, for our freezers. And our raspberry patch. And this is separate from the rhubarb up above, where we have about a half an acre of rhubarb. And it's for our own personal use. And then you can see here along the fence line, I got all these buckets of manure. Those are going to sit there for a year. And those will be the fertilizer that we'll throw on the rhubarb for next year. Right now, I'm in here. This is where I throw all the cow manure that we pick up. And it'll sit in here for a year. I just pulled some weeds out of here and I'm just shoveling the fertilizer into some buckets and put a screen on top to get rid of any roots. So as you can see here, the last year's manure is turned into a fertilizer, and we usually cover it with a tarp to keep the weeds down, but I've pulled most of the excess weeds out of here. And it's mostly morning glory roots, and to get rid of them so I don't spread them to where I want this fertilizer to go, I put this little screen on top, this makeshift screen, and I just rub the soil down into the buckets, and it turns into this nice fine soil down in the buckets with no rocks and morning glory roots. And I just rub the soil over the bucket like this real quick, and all the dirt goes down and it just leaves these big rocks on the top, and I just roll them off, or else I gather them up. Usually try and keep them in one pile so I could get them out of here. And this is what the manure looks like. It's a mixture of kelp and manure. It's over a year old. It turns into a nice soil once you run it through a screener. You get all the weed roots out as much as possible anyways, and the gravel from the kelp. And it's ready to go on the raspberry plants and the loganberry bushes and the huckleberry plants. So let's go see what I do with this stuff now. You can see the roots of the raspberry plants here, and all I'm doing is taking a nice handful of that fertilized soil and I'm just throwing it, tossing it gently at the roots. A couple of handfuls. Just go around the plant like that. Maybe get rid of any dirt that's going on, any bricks or anything like that. And then I go to the next one. Just throw a couple of handfuls around each plant. It just gives it a little bit of a fertilizer boost, and just before they start producing berries. All right, well, thank you for watching me fix up the berry patch. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to follow along with my video series. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, ciao.